Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. And for the Grue Rume Show today, I'm very excited for my guest. She is a legend in the wrestling world, and her name is Baby Doll. And she has wrestled and she managed the greats like Tully Blanchard, the living legend Larry Sabisco, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, the Four Horsemen. And we're going to talk to her about all those experiences plus actually wrestling in the ring too. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Rume Show. And my interview with Baby Doll will be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Rume, and as always, welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned. Okay. Welcome to
I
the
already got you
room.
laughing.
Thank you so much for taking time and coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Literally stopped right in the middle of doing like 10 things so I could talk to you. So we're good.
Oh my God. Um, I feel good about that. Thanks.
You're welcome. Well, I live on my husband doesn't consider it a farm, but I have like at least 50 chickens and several dogs and cats. And I used to have goats and turkeys, but I've got to do some repenning and stuff before I get more animals. And then, yeah, if you've got 50 chickens, you probably have a farm.
Yeah, I would say so, right? And, well, what I wanted to start out asking you is like I saw that you basically grew up in the great sport of wrestling, and
Yes.
I mean your dad on television. I saw you hung out with like Kerry and Kevin Von Erich, and how was it like growing up in the sport?
Well, it was perfect for me. I mean, if you didn't like wrestling, it would probably be a horrible childhood. But since I absolutely have always loved wrestling, I always loved watching wrestling. Whenever we traveled, I would have to get the TV guide and see when wrestling was on and circle it so I didn't miss it while we were visiting relatives. And um, for me, it was like awesome. My dad was on TV every week. My mom, uh, so beautiful. She had won Marilyn Monroe lookalike contest, and she was I wouldn't say a stay-at-home mom, but she was home with us like 90% of the time. She only worked on like Wednesday nights whenever she'd go to Fair Park and sell tickets, for the show. It was really cool, like having your dad on TV and doing the promos and the wrestling shows. And then whenever I got older, I had like a built-in job. Shoot, I've been working since I would say like 6 years old, getting a salary.
Wow.
So well, my first job was answering the phone because we had like a floating TV time. It wasn't always on at the same time. And
Hmm.
so they would fans would call up and say, "Hey, what time is wrestling on?" And I could say like 2 o'clock on Saturday or 1 o'clock or whatever time slot that they had us on. And then when I got older, then I could make reservations. You could actually reserve ringside seats. When I could make change and was prolific in math skills, then I was put in the concession. And then I sold programs and T-shirts and tickets. And then when we could carry 4 steel folding chairs, then we graduated up to ring crew. So we did ring crew and concessions like while this show was going on. Then when the show was over with, then we broke down the ring and the chairs and loaded up and went back home. So yeah, it was a hard childhood, but it was a really fun childhood.
Okay, okay. And like I mean, growing up in the sport, like is that
Mhm.
why you wanted to wrestle and valet too?
Right. It gave me an actual avenue. I don't know if like if like my mom was like a teacher and my dad was a doctor or a lawyer, I don't know if I would have had the same love for it that I did actually being in it, and it wouldn't have been as easy for me to get into it um if I wasn't already in it. So it was just a perfect pathway. I mean, if ever there was destiny and stars lined up and things that are
Yeah.
supposed to happen, then that was what was supposed to happen.
Oh yeah, definitely. And how when you were training for it to take bumps, wrestle, like how long did it take you, like take your body to get used to the bumps and the rope burns and everything that came
Oh,
with wrestling?
it never did.
Oh,
With being a professional wrestler, with being really, really good, you have to teach yourself complete 180 of what you learned whenever you were a child. Because whenever you're a small child, you teach yourself not to fall down because falling hurts. So
yeah.
that's just instilled in you, like, don't fall. Well, when you train to be a wrestler, you may be so dead set in your head that, okay, in your heart, that, okay, I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to be the best wrestler ever. But when you first start taking the bumps and learning how to fall and fall really hard and actually like slamming yourself on the mat, because you can't, it's hard to describe. You can't fall softly because it hurts more than if
Mhm.
you fall hard. So you've got to teach your brain to like actually throw yourself back and throw yourself back like really hard. And then the tumbles and the whole thing,
Oh,
your
wow.
brain will go, nope, we're not doing that. And will actually shut down and you can't do the bumps. And I think in my case, I mean, I tried and I tried really, really hard. But in my mind, I knew that there weren't any girls my size to work with. So I
Mm.
kind of, I don't want to say half-assed did it, but I didn't train as hard as like Robin did because Robin had like the perfect body for it. And I'm talking about Rockin' Robin, my sister-in-law, because we trained up at Nelson Royals for a whole summer, like the summer of '87. We were up there for several months, training every day in the morning and the evening up in that horse barn. And she got it. I mean, because she just had the really athletic body. She was smaller in stature. Um, and it was just a lot easier for her than me with this big, almost 6 foot tall body. And even though I was athletic, it just didn't click as well as what it did with her.
Oh, wow. Okay. And did you always know like you wanted to be inside the ring too? Because like I mean they when they see a woman in the sport at
Oh, yeah.
that time, like they just wanted them to walk the wrestler out. But
Oh,
you
whenever I was 15 or 16, there was no doubt I was going to be in the ring somehow, some
like
way, whether it was announcing, whether it was wrestling or whatever. I knew that at one point in my life I was going to get in that ring, and it
okay,
worked out really well with Gino because they were looking for a girl bodyguard, and I didn't have to wrestle, so that worked out absolutely perfect, at the time. So
yeah, definitely. Hey, that's where WWE might have got the idea of China. She was the bodyguard of Triple H and
right, right.
Shawn Michaels.
Well, I know that they got Elizabeth because I started in September of
Hmm.
'84, and Elizabeth came out, I believe, in May of '85. So, and
Oh,
I've been with Tully for a little while, and we had really, really good success with it. And then I think she started August of '85.
oh wow, okay. Wow. And like how was your time like in WCCW like working with Gino and then you wrestled too, you feuded with Stella
Right.
and Sunshine. Like how was your time there?
It was absolutely magical. I mean, from the first day whenever I started, and Jake the Snake Roberts opened up the door to the TV studio for me, getting to ride many times with Jake and listening and learning the business, working with Kevin and Carrie and Mike and Chris. I mean, they were my buddies. I mean, I'd known them for probably 5, 6 years before I even went to work for WCCW. So it was, just the best childhood ever. Sorry, we got a lot of traffic going on in here.
It's all
But
good.
the because I'd worked out with Carrie and Kevin many times whenever they would come in and do spot shows for my dad and would stay over. They would want to hit the gym, and I had a really nice gym, the Supreme Court, and we'd go play racquetball and they'd get to lift. And So I knew them from, like, gosh, I was probably 17, 18 at the time
Oh,
whenever I
wow.
first met them. So it was it was really cool. And there's no other way to put it. Like, because you walk in the gym and you're walking in with Carrie and Kevin Von Erich, and you're like, yeah, they're my friends.
Right? Yes, exactly.
And my
So
chickens are very happy. Squishy just laid an egg and she has to let everybody know. Sorry.
there you
Hey, if
go.
I laid an egg every day, I'd be screaming too, like, hey, look what I did.
I know, right? Exactly. And, so, but by working around Kerry and Kevin and all of them, the whole family, did you get a chance to watch the Iron Claw and your
I have
like
not.
thoughts? Oh, okay.
I at this point, I was going to watch the movie because um I'm friends with Silas Mason and Brady Pierce, who played Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy,
Mhm.
and I want to see their parts. But the rest of the movie, I mean, I from the wrestling fan and from people that knew Carrie and Kevin and the Von Erich family, not one person has said, yeah, that's a really good movie. The only people that say that it's a good movie are people that have no idea about the wrestling business. And then for me to hear that they completely left Chris out of the story was,
Mhm.
it was almost blasphemy to me, because I knew Chris, and Chris always wanted to fit in. Chris felt like he wasn't a part, because he was smaller in stature. He was just a little guy, and he wanted to be a part of the wrestling so bad, but because of his size and then being so young, he was always like left out, because he couldn't party with the big boys. He couldn't travel like they did. He couldn't go to the gym and lift like they did. He had some awfully, awfully big shoes to fill, and it was sad because he always felt like he didn't fit in. And here in the movie, they didn't even include him. And that's so disrespectful. And I'm sorry that they did that to him. And I had read an article where Kevin had said that he had actually viewed the movie after production, where there
Mhm.
couldn't be any changes made. And he felt, like there could have been some changes, but it was just too late. I just I'm not gonna watch them. I
Oh,
might one day, but right now I won't.
yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, because that wasn't right what they did. I mean, everyone knew that Chris was part of the family, so
Oh
yeah.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And just to
And
leave them out is just, to me, it's just so disrespectful, I think. Like you couldn't have given him 10 minutes out of, like 10 minutes.
oh yeah,
You could have
exactly. I
probably,
know.
done that, and some, just it just, I don't can't do it. Won't do it. Will not do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely.
I want my memories. I've got my memories, and they're beautiful and they're precious, and it's just I don't want someone else's view of the family to disrespect what I already know.
Exactly. And when you were working for WCCW, like, did you did you come up with your whole look, like the punk rock heavy metal look
Mhm.
for your character?
Everything I did, whether it was with Andrea or Baby Doll, all the looks were mine. I
Oh, wow.
created them. The only thing that I did that someone told me, like kind of how to look, was when I turned babyface with Dusty, and Dusty wanted me to dress like the ladies of Dynasty, like
Oh,
Linda Evans and Joan Collins, and that's when I came out with like the big poofy dresses and things like that. Um, which was kind of hard to do and jump in a wrestling ring. So I don't think he kind of had the mindset, like I would have to jump in a ring every night, because we just didn't have stairs like what they do now.
hmm.
Um, that was the only time everything was mine. Everything I went
Oh,
out and
wow.
got and tried to look tough, and yes.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And how did you get to work with Jimmy Jimmy Crockett and wrestle there and manage there?
It was being at the right place at the right time and having the look of what they wanted. Um, Dusty and Tully were actually having a contest for Tully, looking for a valet. looking for looking for Tully's Perfect 10. And they'd actually been having the contest for a couple of weeks before they actually saw me. They'd actually had vignettes, they had VHS tapes, and pictures sent in, because whenever I went to Crockett's office, I saw the pile of mail uh, that had come in for Tully. They were looking for Tully's Perfect 10. And whenever they saw me, and I was in Miami, and it was the day before Christmas, and it was Dusty and Tully, and those were my last 2 days with World Class. Whereas
Oh,
was Christmas and the day after, and that's it. I had no more wrestling dates booked after that at all. So it was kind of like shoot the dice, and hopefully somebody would pick up the game. And um, I saw Dusty. He was in the dressing room, and Tully was standing off to the side and gave him this spiel of like, "Hey, I've been working in Texas, and I'd really like to continue this part of my career, and I don't have any more dates, and I'm really looking for somewhere else to go." And they were actually had heard about Sunshine in Texas, so that whenever they heard that I had been working in Texas, they kind of thought that that was me. But thank goodness they didn't see Sunshine, because if they saw Sunshine, they would have gone with her for sure, because she
oh
just had
man.
the beautiful face and everything. So just happened to be right place at the right time. I went and had my match with Stella May. And whenever I was walking to the ring, I saw the corner of my eye, like Dusty's standing outside of his dressing room and Tully's standing outside of his dressing room. And I was thinking that if they're still standing there after my match, I've got the job. If they're not standing there, I might as well go back to Texas, because they're not interested. And
Yeah.
sure enough, I beat Stella with a DDT and stood up, and I looked back over, and they're both like standing there. And I
Ah.
knew, I was like, yes, yes, yes. And and it worked out perfect. I mean, it was the stars were lined up again.
Definitely. Because like that was such a a great thing for wrestling with you and Tully, like side by side with one another. And it was just a awesome pairing to watch as
Well,
a
Tully was
fan.
such a good wrestler at the time. He'd
Mhm.
held several titles. He had worked Mid Atlantic for a while, and he just needed that little extra to take him to the next level. And I would like to think that in 1985 he had his best year ever in wrestling.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. Definitely. And did you have to go over with Tully like what he wanted, like being his valet, like did Tully have to say like how he wanted you to be, or did he give you complete freedom?
Um, Probably 10% was Tully and
Hmm.
90% was myself. I mean, he
Oh,
didn't
awesome.
tell me what to wear. He didn't tell me how to act. He didn't tell me how to pose. Basically, like if we did a promo and I got to say something, he would, give me a little snippet of here. I want you to hit this part, and then I would,
Yeah.
on the fly, make up whatever came to my head. We didn't have scripts. We didn't go over promos. It was basically we looked on the TV sheet, see what match we had, see where we were at promos, and then be on the mark for where we were supposed to be for that time of the show. And the rest of it was us. I mean, it's so complicated, and you've got producers and money man and TV and the whole thing. But back then, it was just us, and we got ourselves over. Because if we didn't get ourselves over, then we didn't get booked the next week.
Oh, okay.
Got to make
And
that money. If you're not putting butts in the seats, they're not going to book you.
oh no, yeah, definitely, definitely. And how was it like at that time to actually be a main part of the feud with Dusty Rhodes and Tully?
It at times it was hard. I remember there was one time that I asked Tully. I said, "Can we win one match? Can we just because it had been like probably 2.5 months where we had got beat every single night except for on TV." And so, that just gets like, I don't want to lose again. But it was sold out, and we were working with a booker. So it was Tully had to point that out. He says, "Are you making really good money?" I was like, "Yeah," because man, I was making 3 to 5 grand a week. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was good. It was really good. Um, And then he says, are you working with, and he says, are you making good checks? I was like, yes. And he says, are you working with the boss? Are you working against the booker? I was like, yeah. He says, there's no better spot than where we're at right now. He says, if we have to do jobs every single night, we're going to do a job every single night because we've got this spot. And
True.
at
True.
the time it was just like, well, okay, we can't win once in a while, but it made sense. It made sense because if you're a heel and you're over, you're going to get beat all the time. And you just have to be tough
Absolutely.
enough. Like now you do a lot of indie shows that nobody wants to do a job, nobody wants to go under, and it's just like, then you're not much of a worker. The
I
better the worker that are, then you can get beat and still be over.
I know. 100%. Yeah. And what was like too for you? Like you were there. You were at ringside for that match, that brawl that everyone talks about. The the bloodbath brawl between Tully and Magnum. And what was like the beater for that, and actually watch like a brutal match like that.
It was, to me, the I Quit match was the best match ever in professional wrestling.
Oh my God,
The
yes.
build up to it, how everything made sense. All of us, if all of us had to be there for it to work. And I don't want to, toot my horn and say, oh, but they could have had a match, but without me, it wouldn't have been the same. You know what I'm saying? So the
Oh
whole
no.
thing just made sense. The build up to it, wherever I handed the roll of quarters to Tully, and he hit Magnum with it, and then the following weeks, the Magnum came down and with a security outfit, with a policeman's outfit, and handcuffed me to the bottom rope, and then beat the crap out of Tully. The kiss, where I handed Magnum the card, and said, call me. And then we had the kiss, and Tully and Magnum just literally beat the crap out of each
Ooh.
other. The whole build up to it was Dusty and his genius, just spectacular in that point because he put it all together.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh wow. And like you even worked with him, Rhodes,
Right.
Dusty
No, I
Rhodes, like you.
Starcade 85 was the I Quit match with Tully
Mhm.
against Magnum in the cage. And then the following January, which was like a month and a half later, that's whenever, well, it wasn't even that, I think, yeah, it might have been 5 weeks that I switched with Dusty. And that was actually, I was actually supposed to go with Buddy Landell, but
Oh,
Landell went on a cocaine trip for like 2 weeks and missed TV and
yeah.
was supposed to bring in the title and the whole thing, and he nobody could get a hold of him at TBS Studios, and Dusty's trying to call him, and Paul Jones is trying to call him, JJ's trying to call him, and he's not answering the phone. So Dusty is just kind of like, screw it. And that's when he put me with him. Well, because my time with Tully I'd been with Tully for right at a year, and we
Yeah.
had literally done everything. So what else were you going to do?
Yeah,
And it
true.
just made sense at that time that Landell was coming up, and they were actually going to work a program with Landell against Flair, because Landell had some really good houses against Flair. I think that to this day, Landell against Flair and the Dorton Arena set attendance records that still has not been broken
Oh
at
my
that
God.
time. So Buddy was over, and to me it would have made sense, for me to go with Landell at that time, but it just didn't work out, and um, Landell got fired, and then I went with Dusty, and then Dusty and I had what 6, 7 months together, and that worked out. I mean, it was perfect. I mean, the America's team and
Yeah.
Dolly, Baby Doll was right there with him. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because you even wrestled too with him in like tag matches, and you got to work
Right.
with like the Hawk and Animal, the Rock and Roll Express, like that was awesome.
Yes, with the Great American Bash in '86. The Great American Bash in '85 was Tully against Dusty in the cage, where I was lost to Dusty for 30 days. So that gave
Mhm.
a lot of vignettes, a lot of material to work with. And at the end, I had so much heat that Dusty had actually begged Crockett and saying, "We need to give this girl a couple of days off because the fans were going to kill me because they were beating the crap out of me." And so then the following year, in July of '86, was where we had worked the angle with Cornette, because Cornette had hit me in the stomach with a tennis racket back in April of '86 in I want to say it was Greenville, South Carolina. Might have been Fayetteville. Um, and that, I mean, Cornette got death threats from that. I literally saw the letters that came to him that they were going to kill him. And it built up to where we had the mixed tags. I don't want to say it was the mixed tags. It was a 6-man tags where I got to work with Dusty and Magnum, and then the Road Warriors and Rock and Roll Express all through
Yeah.
the month of July, and beat Cornette every single night.
Nice. and being with Tully, you were with Flair and the Horsemen and everything. What what storyline did you love being part of most? Like your whole time there.
Oh my gosh. I think the best one was the build up for Starcade 85 with the I Quit match, because it
Oh
was
yeah.
so intense. It was so um I want to say mind-boggling, like
Hmm.
how vested the fans got. Plus, Tully and Magnum didn't like each other. They personally had kind of a beef with each other from the very get-go. So everything you saw with them was literally almost a shoot every night. So it was
Oh
fun.
wow.
It was cool.
And like I don't know if you like watch it now like with the WWE like what are your thoughts on Cody Rhodes actually winning the WWE title for his father?
I love it. I think that maybe they did it too soon. They kind of
Mhm.
appeased the fans, because once you did that, then like what else is left? I think that they could have teased it a little bit longer, because I mean that it kind of came out on the dirt sheets that that Cody wasn't going to win it, that it was going to be a different storyline. And then the fans all kicked up a fuss about it, and then they
Yeah.
changed it to where Cody actually did win it. I would have liked to have seen it, because you want that baby face chasing that, chasing and almost getting it, and then it gets pulled away, and then he almost,
Yes.
oh man, if they didn't do that, he would have had it. To me, I think they could have made it last a lot longer, because now what? What do you do? Cody doesn't even have any opponents. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
Nobody's built
I
up to
know.
go against him. So he's just kind of standing up there by himself going, okay.
I know. No,
And
no,
it kind of left
you're
everybody hanging,
absolutely
because it's kind of like, okay, now what?
exactly. Yes. Yeah, 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 it's fun to
Dusty would have
saying.
made it last a lot longer. Dusty would
Oh
have made
yeah,
it
I'm
last
sure.
2 more years.
I'm sure he would. Yes.
Well,
and
am I missing something, or is, because that's what I kind of get from it, is like, here Cody's up on top of the mountain, but who is he gonna who's going after him? Because I don't see anybody really going after him.
yeah, like he really doesn't have anyone now. Like they actually turn Styles back into a heel just to feud with Cody now.
Well, and that'll be good, but I mean,
Mhm.
okay. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. It's just things have got to me, it's got to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then something's got to happen to put the pieces together. So why wouldn't everybody turn heel to go against Cody then?
I know that's what's probably gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, exactly. And and when I mean I know you still do like wrestling here and there and you do wrestling cons and stuff and
Mhm.
what do you love most about like doing these things still like the wrestling cons, the wrestling
Oh, what don't I love about it? I mean, I love to travel. I love getting to see everybody, because every dressing room is different.
hmm
All the shows are different parts of the country. My daughter and I just went to Utah this past weekend. We'd never been to Utah. I actually
Sweet.
had a really nice rent a car and went and got to see the Great Salt Lake and then drove across to see Idaho. So I mean it's fun. And then I'm going to Texas next month and going to Lubbock and going back to my hometown. Unfortunately, it's like I think I've only got like 28 hours from the time I leave here to go to like Texas and come right back. I've got so
Oh.
it's kind of like my daughter says, "When are we going to sleep?" And I said, "I guess we're not." um, I get to see everybody. I love seeing the fans. I love hearing their stories.
Mhm.
Um, it's it's really cool. Just I love all of it. You know, from the wrestling matches to getting to sign a ton of autographs. It's just so much fun. And then I'm raising my husband's 9-year-old grandson, and his
Oh,
name is
okay.
Ryder, and I've had him for 6 years. So when Mother's Day came around, because his mom's not here, um, that he had done, you know, the paper, you know, like what I love about my mom, and you know, had all the little questions, and it was really funny because it says, "What does your mom do best?" And she said, and he put sells pictures. Yeah, okay. There's worse things,
I know, right? Exactly.
but no one else got that answer.
No, probably not. And what do you like doing during your free time?
Oh
I
my
I
gosh.
I know you love like being on the farm and everything. Or
Yeah, I love to garden. I love my plants and my farm and my chickens. And of course, with a 9-year-old, I'm always busy cooking and cleaning and doing all the mom stuff I'm supposed to be doing. Um, Let me think. What on my off time,
yeah.
honestly, smoke pot and do video games.
All right. Yes. What kind of video games do you like?
Um, oh my gosh, everything from Mario and see, I'm old school because
Oh
like
yeah, I love that.
the 3D imaging, I can't. It makes me car sick. I get like that weird thing in my ear where I'm like off balance and it makes me feel weird. So like Mario Kart, I will actually get like car sick and get physically ill from playing. So I can't do it. So I've got to do the old school, the 2D screen. You know,
Yes.
I can kill it on Mario. I beat all the Zelda games, which when my daughters were growing up, it was cool because I could get to certain levels and then they would play after me. And then if they had questions, I could help them.
Oh
So yeah,
wow.
I was like really cool that way. Um, yeah, it was yeah, like old school games, the old
Oh
school.
yeah, definitely. Those are
And then I do
those are the best ones.
there's a couple of card games on like Google Play that I do that I've got. I had like I just lost my streak, but I had 1,700 days completely logged in every day for 1,755 days on this one card game I was playing. So I figured that was like almost 5 years of logging in every single day.
I love
Hey,
it.
goals. You got to have goals, right?
Yes, exactly. And I'm a big horror fan, so I always ask my guests this: are there any horror films you like to watch?
Oh, see, I used to be so into horror films until I had my daughters, until I had my
Mhm.
kids. And then it became too scary because I pictured like wonder if my kids were in that situation and it just kind of ruined it because it became too scary and too real. Um,
Mhm.
See, and I'm back in old school. I like the Halloween, the
Yeah.
Jason, you know, just that
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
don't know what's you know the guy is around the corner but you can't see him, but damn it, you know he's there. And I
You
like
know,
those.
definitely yes. And what about songs? Like, what kind of music you like listening to?
I like everything. It's kind of like whenever like we had the rent a car this past weekend and we had the Sirius radio and you they've got like 500 channels and just I was doing some videos on my way up to Utah and had the music going and doing and I was just like, wow, and it was funny because I was like listening to the music in the background, and I went from everything from Godsmack to Daughtry to Iggy Azalea. So that was the full. I don't think you can get much broader than that.
No. What do you think would be your go-to karaoke song if you were gonna sing?
Oh, I don't sing. I've been told, please don't sing. Um, oh, I don't know. American Girl, Tom Petty.
Oh, that's a good song. Nice. And the last thing I will ask you is where could fans follow you
Oh my
and
God.
see when you're doing your cons and stuff?
Okay. My first name is Nickla, which is Nickla. I'm the only Nickla out there. And so if you Google Nickla, all my stuff comes up. I'm very active on Facebook and Twitter. I have Instagram. I don't do too much on Instagram because I usually start off with Facebook, then I go to Twitter, and then I get all the political stuff going, and then I get diverted and I never get over to Instagram. But those are the two. If you PM me or DM me, then I'll at least look at your message, and most of the time, 90% of the time, I'll answer.
Okay, sweet.
Well, I
Oh,
answered yours, right?
I know you did. Thank you for that.
My
Well,
husband's not too thrilled about it, but I mean, I really love wrestling. I really love the fans. I really
mhm.
like to get booked and go see people and sell some pictures and sell some tickets and talk about wrestling. And it's, I just love it. It's like a whole different chapter of the same book, of how everything progresses.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It was really nice meeting you and chatting.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. You're
Thanks so
welcome.
much for this.
Glad I got to make you laugh a couple of times, right?
Oh my God, yes, definitely. Well, definitely have a really great day. It looks like it's beautiful outside,
Oh,
so
yeah.
have fun.
See the blue skies? Yeah,
Oh my
Carolina
God,
blue.
it looks
I love
great. I
it.
love it.
Yep, it's and then my front porch, you get all the chickens and everything. So, yeah, it's my little piece of heaven. My husband has given me a beautiful home and some land and definitely in a good place.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. Thank you again so much for this. Have
Oh,
have
you're
a really
welcome, hon.
great day.
You're welcome. Hopefully I'll see you down the road sometime.
Oh my God, yeah, definitely. I'm always at wrestling conventions.
All right, well, come up and say hi to me. If you don't, I'll be upset with you.
Okay, I promise.
Okay. Super duper. And then I've got Lubbock coming up in July. I've got the gathering the first week of August in Charlotte at the Hilton and at University Place Hilton. In October, I'm in Virginia. And then I've got WrestleCade the last week of November. And then December the 12th, I'll be in Elizabethton, Tennessee. So still quite a few shows coming up for the rest of the year.
Wow, yeah. Awesome.
Super, super. All right. Well, hopefully
Super
I'll see you at
duper.
one of them soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.